The elevator doors closed with a soft whisper, leaving Miranda Chen alone with her thoughts and the lingering scent of jasmine perfume. For 3 years, she had been the perfect assistant to CEO Alexandra Sterling, efficient, professional, invisible. But tonight, after catching Alexandra's lingering gaze during the board meeting, after feeling electricity spark when their fingers brushed over contract papers, Miranda realized that the careful walls she'd built around her heart were crumbling. The woman she admired from afar, the brilliant executive who commanded boardrooms with effortless grace, had just asked her to stay late, again. And this time, Miranda sensed it wasn't just about quarterly reports. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Sterling and Associates, casting long shadows across the marble lobby. Miranda adjusted her blazer and checked her watch, 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes before Alexandra typically arrived. Punctuality had always been her strength, a small rebellion against the chaos of her childhood. She settled at her desk outside Alexandra's corner office, reviewing the day's schedule: board meeting at 9, lunch with the Japanese investors, conference call with London at 3. The familiar routine should have been comforting, but lately, something had shifted in the careful ecosystem they'd built together. It started 3 weeks ago during the Henderson merger negotiations. Alexandra had worked through the night, her usually perfect hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders, her sharp business suits replaced by a simple black sweater that made her green eyes seem impossibly bright. When Miranda brought her coffee at 2 a.m., their eyes met with an intensity that made her breath catch. "You don't have to stay," Alexandra had whispered, but her voice carried a note of hope that contradicted her words. "I want to," Miranda replied, and meant it more than she should have. The elevator chimed, pulling Miranda from her memories. Alexandra emerged, her presence commanding attention even in the early morning quiet. Today she wore a deep burgundy dress that hugged her curves perfectly, her dark hair swept into an elegant chignon that revealed the graceful line of her neck. "Good morning, Miranda," Alexandra said, her voice carrying that slight rasp that appeared before she'd had her first coffee. "Good morning, Miss Sterling. Your coffee is ready, and I've moved the Henderson follow-up to after lunch as requested." Alexandra paused at her office door, hand resting on the handle. "Have I mentioned how invaluable you are?" The compliment sent warmth spreading through Miranda's chest. "Just doing my job?" "No," Alexandra turned, her green eyes serious. "You do so much more than that. You anticipate what I need before I know I need it. You make the impossible seem effortless." She paused, something vulnerable flickering across her features. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Miranda felt her professional mask slip slightly. "You'll never have to find out." The moment stretched between them, loaded with meaning neither dared voice. Then Alexandra's phone buzzed, shattering the spell. "The car will be here in 20 minutes for the site visit," Miranda said, falling back into professional mode. But as Alexandra disappeared into her office, Miranda caught her reflection in the window-flushed cheeks, bright eyes, the unmistakable look of a woman falling for someone she shouldn't. 3 years of careful boundaries, and now everything felt uncertain. Her computer chimed with a new email from HR about the company's updated fraternization policy. The irony wasn't lost on her. The office building stood nearly empty at 9 p.m., the cleaning crew having finished hours ago. Miranda's fingers flew across the keyboard, finalizing the presentation for tomorrow's client meeting. She'd volunteered to stay late again, telling herself it was dedication to her work. The truth was more complicated. Alexandra emerged from her office, jacket draped over her arm, looking as polished as ever despite the long day. "You're still here." "Almost finished," Miranda replied, not looking up from her screen. As she met those green eyes, she might do something unprofessional. "Miranda." The gentle command in Alexandra's voice made her look up. It's late. This can wait until tomorrow. I want to get it perfect for the Morrison account. Alexandra moved closer, her perfume filling the space between them. It's already perfect. Everything you do is perfect. The compliment hung in the air, heavier than it should have been. Miranda saved her work and reached for her purse, but Alexandra's hand caught her wrist gently. Stay, Alexandra said softly. Have a drink with me. We've both earned it after today. Miranda knew she should decline, should maintain the professional distance that had kept them both safe for 3 years. Instead, she heard herself say, just one drink. Alexandra's smile was radiant. She disappeared into her office and returned with 2 glasses and a bottle of wine that probably cost more than Miranda's monthly rent. They settled on the leather couch in the corner of Alexandra's office, the city lights twinkling below them like earthbound stars. The wine was smooth, expensive, loosening the careful control Miranda had maintained all day. Tell me something about yourself I don't know, Alexandra said, curling her legs under her with an ease that made her seem younger, more approachable. I don't think there's much you don't know. 3 years of working together. I know you're punctual, brilliant with numbers, and can diffuse any crisis with a single phone call. But I don't know what makes you laugh, what you dream about, what you do when you're not making my life easier. The wine made Miranda bold. I paint, she admitted. Watercolors mostly. Landscapes that don't exist anywhere but in my imagination. Show me, Alexandra said immediately. Miranda laughed. I don't carry my easel in my purse. Tomorrow then, I want to see them. The request felt intimate, like Alexandra was asking to see into Miranda's soul. They're not very good. I doubt that. Alexandra's fingers brushed against Miranda's hand as she reached for the wine bottle. The contact was brief, but electric. You have artist's hands. I've always noticed. Miranda looked down at her hands, suddenly self-conscious. You've noticed my hands? I notice everything about you, Alexandra said quietly, then seemed to realize what she'd revealed. Color rose in her cheeks. I mean, as your supervisor, Alexandra. Miranda interrupted, using her first name for the first time in 3 years. The sound of her name seemed to break something in Alexandra. She set down her wine glass and turned to face Miranda fully. This is dangerous territory. I know. It could complicate everything. I know that too. They sat in silence, the weight of unspoken possibilities hanging between them like a bridge neither dared cross. The Morrison presentation was a triumph. Miranda watched from the back of the conference room as Alexandra commanded the space with effortless authority, every gesture deliberate, every word perfectly chosen. When the clients agreed to the largest contract in the company's history, Alexandra's eyes found Miranda's across the room, sharing the victory in a look that lasted just a moment too long. The celebration dinner was held at an upscale restaurant downtown, the entire team toasting their success. Miranda sat at the far end of the table, watching Alexandra accept congratulations with gracious smiles while shooting her meaningful glances when no one was looking dodd as the evening wound down and colleagues began making their excuses. Alexandra appeared at Miranda's elbow. Walk with me. They strolled through the quiet downtown streets, their footsteps echoing off the empty sidewalks. The wine from dinner had left Miranda feeling bold, the success of the day making everything seem possible. I have a confession, Alexandra said as they paused at a fountain in the small park near the restaurant. The Henderson merger, the Morrison account, all those late nights, I could have handled them differently, more efficiently. Miranda turned to study her profile in the moonlight. What are you saying? I'm saying I've been creating reasons to spend time with you, professional excuses to be near you. Alexandra's laugh was self-deprecating. Very mature of me, I know. The admission set Miranda's heart racing. Alexandra, I know it's wrong. I know I'm your boss and there are rules and consequences, but Miranda, I can't stop thinking about you, about us, about what this could be if we were brave enough to try. Miranda stepped closer, close enough to see the vulnerability in Alexandra's eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly. What if it ruins everything? What if it doesn't? Alexandra reached up to cup Miranda's face gently. What if it makes everything better? The kiss was inevitable, soft at first, tentative, then deeper as Miranda melted into Alexandra's arms. 3 years of careful professionalism dissolved in an instant, replaced by something raw and honest and terrifying. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. My apartment is 2 blocks away, Alexandra whispered against Miranda's lips. Miranda's response was to kiss her again, pouring 3 years of suppressed longing into the contact. When they separated, her decision was clear. Lead the way. Alexandra's apartment was elegant and minimalist, all clean lines and expensive furniture. But Miranda barely noticed the decor, too focused on the way Alexandra's hands shook as she poured them each a glass of wine, the way she kept glancing at Miranda, as if she couldn't quite believe this was happening. Are you sure? Alexandra asked. Setting down her untouched wine dot, Miranda answered by crossing the space between them and kissing her again. Deeper this time, her hands tangling in Alexandra's dark hair. The careful chignon came undone, silk strands spilling over Miranda's fingers. I've wanted this for so long, Miranda whispered against her lips. Alexandra's response was a soft moan that sent heat pooling in Miranda's belly. They moved together toward the bedroom, leaving a trail of carefully discarded professional armor blazers, heels, the barriers they built between desire and propriety. In the morning, Miranda woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows, and Alexandra's arm draped possessively around her waist. The following Monday arrived with the weight of reality. Miranda sat at her desk, hyper-aware of every sound from Alexandra's office, every footstep in the hallway. They'd agreed to keep things professional at work, but the memory of Alexandra's lips on her skin made concentration nearly impossible. Alexandra emerged from her office at precisely 9 a.m., looking every inch the composed CEO in her tailored navy suit. But when her eyes met Miranda's, heat flashed between them so intense that Miranda felt her cheeks flush. Good morning, Miss Sterling, Miranda said carefully. Good morning, Miranda. Could you come in for a moment? We need to discuss the quarterly projections. Miranda followed her into the office, closing the door behind her. The moment it clicked shut, Alexandra was there, pressing her against it, kissing her with desperate hunger. I can't concentrate, Alexandra whispered against her lips. All I can think about is Saturday night, how you felt in my arms. The sounds you made when Alexandra, Miranda interrupted, though her hands were already tangling in her boss's hair. Someone could come in. I locked it, Alexandra murmured, her lips finding the sensitive spot on Miranda's neck that made her gasp. 5 minutes, I just need 5 minutes. The intercom buzzed, making them spring apart. Miss Sterling? The board members are here for the 9:15 meeting. Alexandra smoothed her hair and straightened her jacket, transforming back into the composed. Executive in seconds. Thank you, Miranda. Send them in. As the board members filed past, Miranda caught knowing looks from several colleagues. Her lipstick was smudged, her carefully styled hair slightly mussed. The professional facade they'd tried to maintain was cracking. During lunch, Alexandra appeared at her desk. We need to talk, tonight, my place. Miranda nodded, recognizing the serious tone. The afternoon dragged by, filled with stolen glances and electric tension that seemed to charge the very air between them. Alexandra's apartment felt different in daylight, more intimate somehow. They sat on the couch where they'd shared wine just days ago, but the easy warmth had been replaced by nervous energy. This is harder than I expected, Alexandra began, pretending at work that nothing has changed between us. Maybe we don't have to pretend, Miranda said quietly. Maybe we could be honest about what this is. Alexandra's laugh was bitter. Honest? Miranda, I'm the CEO. You're my assistant. The power dynamic alone makes this ethically questionable. Add in the company's fraternization policies. So what are you saying? That Saturday night was a mistake? No, Alexandra said fiercely. Never that. But I won't ask you to risk your career for me. I won't put you in a position where people question whether your success is based on merit or who you're sleeping with. Miranda felt something cold settle in her stomach. So we end this, pretend it never happened. Alexandra's eyes filled with tears she was too proud to shed. I don't know. I just know I can't be selfish with your future. They sat in silence, the weight of impossible choices settling around them like a shroud. What if I resigned? Miranda said suddenly, absolutely not. You've worked too hard to throw it away for love. Miranda finished, because that's what this is, isn't it? We're not talking about a casual fling or office attraction. We're talking about love. Alexandra's composure finally cracked. Yes, she whispered, God help me, yes, I love you. I think I've loved you since the first month you worked for me. But love doesn't solve the practical problems. Miranda moved closer, taking Alexandra's hands in hers. Then we figure it out together. Carefully, professionally, but together. I'm not walking away from this. From us, Alexandra squeezed her hands. The board meeting is next Friday. I could speak to them about restructuring, moving you to a different department. We'll make it work, Miranda said with quiet certainty. Whatever it takes. 6 months later, Miranda walked into her new office as Director of Client Relations, her own assistant already busy at the desk outside her door. The promotion had been based purely on merit her success with the Morrison account had opened. Doors throughout the company. Alexandra appeared in her doorway, professional as always in public, but her eyes held warmth that was meant only for Miranda. Dinner tonight? Alexandra asked quietly, your place or mine? Miranda replied with a smile that made Alexandra's breath catch. Ours, Alexandra said, referring to the apartment they'd bought together just last week. Some connections are worth fighting for. Some love is worth every risk, every careful navigation of professional boundaries, every whispered conversation about the future. What started as a subtle attraction between boss and assistant had bloomed into something neither had expected, a partnership built on respect, passion, and the kind of love that makes all the complications worthwhile, ready to explore your own. Unexpected connections? Subscribe to our newsletter for more compelling romance stories that celebrate love in all its forms. Your next favorite love story is just a click away.